Ho, 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 everybody! How are we all? Paul79 here. I'm not really Santa anymore. I've got the hat, but, you know, that was sort of a one-off. Welcome back to the grotto. Hope you're liking it. Got the lights on, got the heater on. Oh, isn't it cold? Oh, I'm just so cold. Frozen to the bones. But hope you're doing okay. It's not been long since we last spoke with each other, but I've had a good so it's Sunday now. I had a good day on the car yesterday. I didn't spend all day on it. I'm not allowed to, but I have managed to do what I was talking about in the last video, the under bumper cover. It was actually quite straightforward, really, which was really nice. So I thought, while it's fresh in my brain, I'll sort of show you what I've done there, but also talk about the brackets that I've made for the bumper as well to sort of secure it up. But before we begin, you know, just to sort of update you on what I've been up to. So yesterday was that time of year that I dread the most. Yes, I had to put up the Christmas lights on the outside of the house. Oh, I really hate that job. Every year we get more and more lights, you know, I have to remortgage the house again, buy more lights, put them up, and then every couple of years we have to change the colour of the lights, so remortgage the house again, get new ones. So at the moment it's the BMW just loves bright white, and I do like bright white. I think it's better than the yellow. I've got yellow in here because obviously they're reject decorations, but yeah, so I got up early Saturday morning. Sorry about that, I don't know what happened there. This GoPro that I bought second hand, it's a 7, it started to go wrong. I don't know what's going on with it, but anyway, I need to listen when it beeps because it means it's stopping recording. Anyway, back to the lights. Yeah, so Saturday, got up 6:30 in the morning, dug them all out, started untangling them. By 11:30 in the morning, they were all untangled. Yeah, so the whole thing took me about 6 hours, but 5.5 hours of that was untangling them all. No, it wasn't that bad. But I always think every year, you know, right, I'll just put it up, put hooks up and all of that, and, you know, keep the hooks up. So next year it should be a lot easier, but the BMW wanted them going all across the house, so I had to drill holes in my house and put some proper hooks up there. But I mean, it looks good now. I'm quite pleased how it's turned out, and the main thing is the BMW's happy, you know, because you remember a BMW is for life, not just Christmas. Anyway, so I've talked about the front bumper brackets and what I'm going to talk to you about, and this under bumper cover. I couldn't remember where it was from, but it is actually from a Ford C-Max, and it actually worked out really well because it's actually quite the right shape. I didn't actually really need to trim any of it around this bit. I've cut off some bits here because they're not needed. Obviously it doesn't cover the whole thing, so I've made some extra bits so that go right on the outer edge. So, you know, whenever you build a car like this, you really do need cardboard to make templates, and then I replicated that in plastic. I'll show you that later. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to show you. So not going to talk much today because obviously, you know, I talked a lot on the last one, 13 minutes, and I know a lot of you fell asleep. But anyway, all I would say is, mums and dads, boys and girls, those elves that I have, I've officially decided to call them Rod, Jane and Freddie. They were being very good on Friday night, but I think they're being a bit naughtier now and they're a bit cheeky. So they've been moving around this garage and like moving my tools out of position, because I'm a very organised sort of guy. As you can see, I've got lots of trinket pots and all that. Everything's strategized. But yeah, they've been moving, like, you know, my spanners and things like that. My number 10 spanner and my number 13 spanner. If you do mechanics and stuff like that, you know that a lot of bolts and nuts are those sizes. They've been moving around. They're so naughty. Naughty Rod, Jane and Freddie. Anyway, I think they're going to be moving around a bit in this video as well. So if you can see them now, great, but I think they'll be in different places. So hopefully you can watch out and spot them. So anyway, I'll see you in a bit. Take care. Bye. Right, my lovelies. So before we begin, I thought we'd start talking about the front bumper, right? So how does it work? Well, it's moulded off a real GT3 RS front bumper, but it has the extra sort of, on a real one, this is actual rubber piece that actually attaches to the car, attaches to the front bumper, sorry. So, but this is all in one on this one. And the way it's fitted is basically it's bolted to the wings here and there, which is the same on the real one. It's also bolted along the top here, which is a bit like the Boxster one as well. You know, the Boxster one mounts. It's like a sort of a plate that this sort of sits on. And that's basically it. So you've got that both sides. So the issue you have is, well, it's not an issue, but it hangs there, yeah? So the thing is what I like to do is I like to firm the bumper up by actually putting some brackets that attach to the body of the car to the bottom of the bumper to stop it sort of moving, right? You know, because you can imagine if it's just hanging there, you want to sort of strengthen it up from the bottom. And I can imagine the real car, and I've seen this on well, on the Boxster when I take it apart, the real Boxster bumper has bits that go at the bottom like that and then attach to the car body. Now, of course, because the front bumper on this comes out further than the Boxster one does, there is no way for it to attach, and plus the bumper isn't the same. So what I do is I make brackets that basically extend out and attach to the bottom of the RS bumper. So we're right underneath the car now, and this lift I've got is fantastic. I can't believe I actually fitted all of this with actually out the lift. But let's start from sort of scratch here, right? So what we have here, so right, let's start here, right? So here's your front wheel. You can see I've got all my new brakes. If you actually look here, you can see there's this bit. I'm going to turn my light on actually. There we go. You can see that basically, so this is where, this is your hub, right? And this is where your normal Boxster calipers mount to. And then you've got this extra bracket that I've got here, and I've got my big calipers there. So I've blacked it all out. There's your new brake lines and all that sort of stuff. So that's our starting point, right? So then what we have here is these are the front radiators, right? You can see the fan there. If I turn that, that's the fan. You have to move these forward, and I can't remember whether I've done a video on that or not, but I probably should do. Now I've got this ramp, it'd be very easy. You can actually see here, this piece of metal is the mounting point on the Boxster, and originally it mounts to there, but I extend it forward and down with this bracket to sort of push the whole thing forward. Why do you need to do that? You need to do that because of the wheels, right? Because these are big old wheels, 20 inches, bigger tyres. I know the Boxster, my Boxster had 19s on, but you need to move it forward so the wheels don't hit the radiator. All right. So, and then here you can see this is part of the radiator mount, and in theory, this bolt here used to mount to the car body there, and I've basically extended it forward and down. I'm going to change the zoom on the camera actually, one sec. Right, hopefully that's a bit better. So there you go, you can see the brackets where I've extended it down and forward. You can see here it's down and forward. This is actually a metal extending bracket that goes down, and it drops the whole thing down, right? And I've got that on both sides. While I'm here, this, what we've got here, I'm assuming, I reckon that's the fuel tank. But then you have these strut braces here. And if you can just see here, you see that VO? These are the famous crossover pipes, right? Which I've also swapped out because they just go. This car's 15 years old, and yeah, they just go. So I've swapped all that out as well. I can't believe again I've done it without this ramp, but hey ho. that's where we are. You know, here's more of the crossover pipes that are feeding coolant to the rear of the engine. And you have all these under bumper, these covers anyway. I've got another one here that I've got to put back on, but I might actually black it a bit out more here to make it look sort of a bit newer. Any road. So what I'm talking about is, so these bumper brackets that I've done, you can see I've done 3, right? So what I have is this bit here, which is the bottom of the radiator bracket, and it's now secured there. What I've done is created sort of just a bracket that then attaches to the front of the bumper. So what I've done is L-shaped piece of metal, bonded that to the bottom lip of the bumper, and then connected the two in various points with other metal, yeah? And all that does is, it's not particularly thick metal. And I know it looks a bit Meccano with all these holes, but they're just like metal builder's straps you can get from Toolstation or Screwfix or something like that, yeah? And that just basically secures the bottom of the bumper to something more solid on the car, right? But the beauty is as well, is because you're doing that, you can also then use this sort of new bracket you've made to attach the under bumper cover. And then before we get to that point, I've also, again, it looks a bit involved, but yeah, I've also sort of made this sort of bracket. So I've got one here that goes there, and then it's got one that goes along there. All these little, you know, I just sort of made it up as I went along, to be fair. But basically you have now, and you can see at the side of the bumper as well, that's also attached to the radiator. So look, there's the wheel, and then that attaches to the side of the bumper, so that doesn't move anymore. And I've got all of this here, and the reason why I've sort of made this bracket here is, again, so I can attach a cover to it of some sort, plastic or mesh, to basically strengthen the whole thing up. So that's sort of what it looks like. I'm going to take a sort of step back, or a shuffle back, and show you sort of the bottom of the car at the moment. Now, what I also have here is my third radiator. You don't need to put that in, and I've had to make extra brackets because I wanted the radiator to sit more vertical than it did standard on the Boxster. And also I had to do that as well because I couldn't just mount it how a third radiator would mount on a Boxster, because I've moved these bits forward, right? Because what happens is the hoses that feed the standard radiators that are on each side, because they're now further forward, the angle of them, if I tried to install this third radiator in the right way, they wouldn't meet the tubes, yeah? It basically goes in the middle of them, yeah? So previously you just have a radiator here and a radiator there, and that's it. But what happens now is the coolant will be going through this radiator here, it will be going through the third one, and then this one here as well. So it's like a bigger circuit, so to speak. All right. So this is what those brackets look like through this hole, yeah? You can see them. Yeah, like I say, a bit Meccano. No one has ever pointed it out to me. No one has ever said on the white car, this looks rubbish. It's just there for extra strength, and it just means none of this on the car will wobble, right? Solid. And what I've done is, yeah, I've bolted it all in. These bolts are a bit long, so you can probably see that it sticks out probably another centimetre. So I'm going to swap them all out for one, so the bolt doesn't protrude quite so much. You got to remember also, you're going to have a light in there, you're going to have a grill in there, grill everywhere, blah blah blah. So you're not going to see it as much. But you know, I try and make it sort of look not so DIY as possible. But yeah, that's what we've got basically. And then this is what we're going to basically use to attach the under bumper. Here you can have a look here actually, you see. So you see, this is this rad, that's your aircon rad. Behind that's your normal rad. and you see you've got this pipe here, right? If you don't have the third radiator, that there is just a cap there, yeah? But now what happens is to take the cap off, and then you have another pipe that then goes into the third radiator, and then on the other side it comes out and connects as follows. But you can see again, because the standard Boxster radiators have been moved forward, here's another bracket here, look, it's pushing it forward and lowering it. I've had to drop it down, so again it would normally mount with that silver nut, and I've got another bracket and then it mounts lower. Anyway, all fun and games, and you can actually see here, look, you know, normally this bit would mount to the up there in the body, but I've had to extend it, blah blah blah. All this sort of stuff, ideally if you're going to do it, you want to be doing it without your bumper on, without your body kit on. Don't worry about things getting in the way, because once it's sort of all done, once you fitted it all up and then you put the bumper on, everything is good. So this is the C-Max under bumper cover that I bought, right? And like I was saying earlier, I haven't had to actually change it much, to be fair. Now, if you do this, you know, you're not going to necessarily have all these brackets in the same position as me, blah, 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 blah. But what you'll probably find is there will be some standard holes in one of these things that you can use as a starting point. So for me, it was this one here. I had a hole here. I've had to make it bigger. But look at this interesting thing here, right? So clearly that's the center of it. And then it's got this cutout here. And then it's got a cutout there. And then, but look, that cutout there then is when that starts curving up. Whereas this cutout, it doesn't curve up till there. So I thought I was smoking the wacky backy earlier, but yeah, it's just, that's the way it is, which doesn't really matter. But yeah, it sort of threw me a bit. But anyway, so I sort of used this as a starting point, and then what I've done is I've been drilling holes in various points where I can bolt this thing to the Meccano brackets and eventually get it looking all right. What else did I have to do? I had to basically cut out some of this plastic here. I had to make this bit bigger here. But really, it doesn't really matter. This is the sort of stuff that I love, really, because you sort of just make it up as you go along and it ends up turning out okay. What I'll do is, while the car's being painted, I will spray all this a nice satin black. I decided, so I think actually on the C-Max, this is the way it is. So the floor's down there and you've got this protruding thing here. But I decided to fit it this way because that protruding thing will get in the way of my brackets. But anyway, like I said, make it up as I go along, really. Cracked it, unfortunately, there. So I'm just going to need to sort of maybe glue that. But like I said, it's only a cover. It doesn't need to be like mega strong or anything like that. I had to cut these bits out here. The only reason is because there are some big bolts on this bracketry, and I wanted the bolt to just come through the plastic as opposed to be stuck behind it and then lift it up. So but yeah, there you go. I'm really pleased how it worked out, because it was actually quite simple, really, and quite a lot of fun. I know I'm a bit sad, but yeah, it was quite a lot of fun. Right, so you can see I've got the bumper cover now in place. That was that big point I was starting about, yeah, and that bolt's there. And then what I've got is I've got basically bolts here, here, here. I haven't put them all on because I'm gonna have to take it off anyway. This was this cutout I was talking about here. So this big nut that supplies the brackets is free, so it doesn't protrude. But yeah, like I said, and then you can see here I've got a nut here for my that secures this metal here. Anyway, you sort of make it up as you go along. These cutouts, this cutout was actually quite handy to get the nut on there. But you know, you've got this one here. Oops, sorry. This one here, you got this extra one here. But really, at the end of the day, it does a pretty good job of covering up the majority of it. Now, the reason why I haven't secured these is because in the next scene, I'm going to show you that I've basically made some extra bits. Oh, who's that? That's Freddy, naughty Freddy. The blood will rush to your head, mate. I have doubled up. So basically when I was fitting this bit, you know, I made these holes here and I secured it, and it's all lovely. But then I've got this extra piece that I'm going to show you in a bit that I put on here. That will, I double up the fittings basically. And so this just shows you how useful this Meccano bracket is, you know, with all these holes. Because you can just literally, you know, pick and choose where you want to secure it by. I come out here. Right, so one thing I need to say is, let's do this one here. So here's one here, right? So that's, can you see it? Oh, you can't see it very well. Oh, the thing's gone off. Oh, so unprofessional. Right, so you can see here, there's a bolt, right, with a nut, and that's come through from the bottom, like that. When you're sort of doing this, first of all, obviously you want to be doing it without your grills in place. This is why you should do it before it's painted. But sort of, a lot of this is quite trial and error, if you think about it. You'll sort of put the thing in place, and then you need to start drilling holes in the plastic to mount it to the Meccano bracket. And it's a bit sort of, it's not trial and error, but you'll mark a hole up with a pen, and then you'll have to take the whole thing off and then drill the hole out and then put it back on. Now, that's all fine, and it just takes a while. But, oh, my knees. But when you're sort of doing it, what you got to remember about, and this is the same for a lot of things on these cars, is you need to think about when the car is finally finished and taking things off, are you going to be able to do it? Now, for me, now this has all been fine because I've got all these big holes. But when this car is done, there'll be grills here, so it'd be very difficult for me to actually get my hand in here and actually put a nut on, right? So I'm thinking ahead. And although it's been fine for sort of doing the trial fit and everything, when it comes to it being final, I want to be able to take this plate off just from the underneath of the car, yeah, because I'm not going to be able to stick my hands in there. So what I plan to do, and I'll go through this actually at the end of the video, instead of having a nut and bolt there, I'm going to mount what is called a riv nut, right? Let me show you what a riv nut looks like. Hang on. Oops. So this is a riv nut, right? And what happens is you have a hole in a piece of metal, and you use a special tool, which again I'll go through, that basically makes a hole that didn't have a thread, yeah? And you have to use a special tool, and it's literally just turned up from Father Jeff Bezos, Father Amazon, you basically use it, and it compresses this thing, and this thing has got a thread in it, right? So long story short, what will happen is this will sit inside one of these holes in the Meccano brackets, and then from the bottom you'll be able to just screw in a bolt, and that's it. It's basically like, it's a bit like welding a nut to a piece of metal. You sort of just press this in, and it's a nut with a thread in it, and then you can just put a bolt in. So that's what I've got to do. But for now, when you're sort of trial fitting it up, you know, just using nuts and bolts is fine. It's actually easier, really. You just stick your arms in and undo it. I mean, these are all hand tight anyway. All right. So the next thing I wanted to do is just make some sort of extra plate that fills this void here that the C-Max cover doesn't fill. So get some cardboard, and what I've done, oh, we're gonna have to move. Elf, you're gonna have to move, mate. Whoop. So that's Freddy. Freddy's had to go. Freddy was in the way. But basically, I made a template like this, and you can see it goes right to the edge of the bumper there, and it fits and just fills that gap. It fits flush with the radiator, and there you go. So, oops. So then what I've done, and you'll do this a lot on these sort of cars, is I then replicated that in just this black plastic. I had an offcut here. I mean, it's very thin, nothing amazing. It's quite strong, very flexible, thin and light. And I've literally just replicated. Oh, this screen keeps going off. It's annoying. I've replicated that cardboard into this thing, right? And what we have here, again, it's very much like the other one. It's a bit trial and error. You know, you mark holes up, you attach it, you mark other holes up. This big hole here. Oh, hello. This big hole here is just so a big nut can come through on the brackets that I've made. But yeah, that's essentially it. You sort of, like I said, I keep saying this, but you just make it up as you go along. I've sort of curved it off a bit to make it look a bit more factory, as opposed to some a passive aggressive point there. But yeah, that's effectively what it is. So you make the first one. That probably took me about half an hour. You use that one as a template for the second one. And what is always nice is when they sort of end up being the same, because it means you perhaps put your kit on reasonably square, etc. Right, so you can see I've now fitted it. You can tell the difference. It's really shiny black, but it's literally bolted through the holes. At this sort of end, I've bolted it through both covers for extra strength. I haven't done them all because I've got to take this off anyway. That was that big hole I made to oh, let's put the light on. Why is my light not working? There we go. That's just so that big bolt can sit through. But yeah, effectively that's all it is, and I've done that on both sides. So now you can see, ignore that bit at the start, you got, who's going wrong, this bloody camera. You got this under bumper cover, goes all the way around here. Here's your extra bit there. There's someone lurking in my wheel. Freddie, get out of that wheel. The disc will cut your head off. But yeah, that's effectively what it is. I don't know whether these sort of cutouts will annoy me. I think I'll keep that one. But I don't know, maybe I could just add an extra plate there. But yeah, that's how it is. From the more important thing is, what does it look like through here? So you can't see the ground, the floor. This will all, I paint it all, it'll all be satin black. I'll be redoing all the brackets as well. I'll be blacking all of that out. But yeah, in essence, it does what it needs to do. You don't want it completely sealed off because, you know, this water will get in here when you wash your car and stuff. So you want it to be able to run out. You want air to be able to run out when you're driving. But it just sort of adds that finishing touch, I think. So there. Right, so it's sort of finished off the whole under bumper cover, brackets, blah, blah, blah. But I thought I'd talk about the old riv nuts, yeah, because some people might not have heard of them, but they are fantastic for sort of kit car building. So obviously everyone knows what a rivet is, yeah? Here's a rivet. It's a way of attaching something from one side. This is quite a small one. You put it in there and you use a rivet gun like this, or a more heavy duty one like this with the two handles. And it's very secure. This car is full of rivets. I have a riveting time using rivets. But yeah, you know, they're permanent, and you can obviously, well, they're semi-permanent because they're very strong, but you can undo what you need to do by just drilling them out. The next sort of stage further is using what is called riv nuts, right? Which is a similar sort of thing. So, you know, what you have here, oh, this screen, have a riv nut, right? And you see at the top, you got the flange there, and then you got the top there that's got sort of serrated edges. The idea is you imagine this is one of my brackets and I want to attach this riv nut to it. You use this special tool here, and they do come in this format as well. You use this special tool and you screw it onto the end, and what happens is the tool then squashes that serrated edge bit back so it actually becomes stuck in the hole. And then what you can do is, because that hole at the top there is threaded, you can just put Obviously not this big, but this was all to hand. You can put a bolt in there and screw it in and out. And that's what I plan to do on all of these bolts that I've used here. I mean, I've sort of, just a bit of advice, because I've used riv nuts for a long time. You can get them in a sort of a gun like this, which is a one-handed jobby. I reckon I've probably bought about 4 and they've all broken, right? This is my normal rivet, so that's a normal rivet gun, and likewise this is, but this is just a single-handed one. I would always go for a heavy-duty jobby, because this is just for normal rivets, and this is fantastic. You just need the double handle thing, yeah? So what I've done, Santa Bezos has delivered this to me today, which is a heavy-duty riv nut gun, right? I've had such bad luck with all of these riv nut guns, so I'm hoping this heavy-duty double-handled jobby will suffice, because I've got a lot to put in. I've probably got about 20, I reckon, at least. But yeah, it come with some riv nuts anyway, but I think you get the idea of it. Yeah, they are fantastic. I've already got some. I've already got sort of some. Where's my finger? Can you see my finger? Yeah, I've got some here with the brackets. You can see it just about. But yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to doing next. Probably won't do it now. Football's on soon, so yep, there's a rivet. Oops, I'll pick that up later. But yeah, so there we are. Cool. So there you go. I hope that's going to help some people there, and you know, learn a bit about stuff that you might not have known. Like I said, I love doing this sort of stuff, because it's sort of like you make it up as you go along. How many times have I said that? Cringe. You make it up as you go along, and at the end of the day, you know, it just makes the car look a bit more sort of factory, having sort of some sort of cover underneath there. A lot of kit cars, people don't bother with them, and you can sort of see the ground through grills and stuff, and I don't like that. So but yeah, so I'm going to go and finish this video off and hopefully release it. We've got football tonight. Come on, England! That's at 7 o'clock. The BMW is making a lovely roast dinner. She went to a Christmas fair today and spent more money, so I'll be remortgaging the house again. But yeah, so take care. Those naughty elves, they were dotted about, weren't they? I think Freddie is the worst. He was everywhere. But yeah, kids, boys and girls, mums and dads, I hope you have fun spotting them, and stay tuned for the next video. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Oh, I really don't. That's the beauty of it. I might have to finish off old Kevin Kevlar on those B pillars as well, and sort of do some other things. That's not very exciting. You don't need to know that. But I might start working on the old parcel shelf and stuff like that, because why not? I've got the stuff here. It's already ready to go. So yeah, again, I love doing that sort of stuff. So anyway, I will see you later, guys, in the next video. Take care and have good weeks, and happy Christmas. Bye bye.